Oh God, please, no! 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 No!
Hello everyone, Blizzard has just released a big new patch right before Season 1, so I wanted to take a look and see how it's going to affect Deathblow, and first impressions are that it is not looking good for us. There's quite a few patch notes this time around, but I wanted to take a look at the ones that are mainly going to affect our build. So first on our list is the enhanced Deathblow's damage bonus to bosses increased from 100% to 150%. Well boy, that sounds good, doesn't it? Unfortunately, bosses aren't really a problem for us with Deathblow. For the most part, the hardest part of Nightmare dungeons are actually the elites, and while sure extra damage to bosses is nice, bosses tend to kind of be the easier side of the fight inside of dungeons, so this one isn't going to really help us out with our build at all. Next on our list is Hamstring now only slows healthy enemies. So basically we're going to be losing a lot of our upkeep on our crowd control and our slowing of enemies for this, so we're going to be losing those damage buffs on any weapons or armor that we might be having with those. So overall this is a pretty negative change for Barbarian, since that's our main way of inflicting those ailments on enemies. This next one's a pretty big one. They are taking the aspect of disobedience and reducing the maximum stacks from 100 to 60. So we are going to be losing a massive amount of bonus armor from this. And the reason this is important is because it's already hard to survive at higher tier Nightmare dungeons. We need all the armor and resistances that we can get. So the fact that they're reducing this, and not only this, but they're actually reducing damage resistances on other rolls across the board. So we were already getting one shot in higher tier dungeons, and we don't have a solution for solving this now, as it's getting even more difficult. And last and most important of the changes are they are reducing critical strike damage and vulnerable damage pretty much across the board on everything, and vulnerable is actually taking a huge hit. This is really bad for us running Deathblow because it's so important for us to be able to kill mobs in just 1 or 2 hits. Losing a large amount of damage with Deathblow and making it so that maybe we can't get those hits to kill is going to be huge DPS loss for us, because we're going to be losing our Deathblow upkeep. So while Blizzard is trying to make these changes to make some of the builds that aren't meta more viable, they're actually hurting builds like Deathblow, which isn't a really meta build, and making it even harder to run than it was before. I'm going to show some quick comparison footage of some stuff that I recorded before the patch and some stuff I just recorded shortly after the patch took place. Now, the stuff before the patch I'm using is actually tier 80 dungeon, and for the most part, when my large crits hit, they're hitting for around 4 to 5 million, somewhere in those numbers. And after the patch, I'm using a tier 72 dungeon, and my large crits are now hitting usually high 2 millions, mid 3 millions. If I'm lucky, I might hit 4. Now add in the fact that it also reduced armors and defenses by quite a bit. So basically before the patch, I could run tier 72s fairly comfortably without dying, and tier 80s is where I really started to struggle and not be able to push through them. Now tier 72 that I just ran kind of almost felt like tier 80 did before the patch. So yeah, the game's definitely getting harder. Deathblow is not quite as viable as it was before the patch. Hopefully some of the stuff they're going to be adding in the season is going to make a Deathblow build stronger. But as of this moment, just going off of what's been done so far, is we've taken a fairly decent hit to Deathblow, which is not good news for people who want to be running this build. I guess I just find myself a little bit confused by some of these changes, as they've said themselves that they're trying to make more builds playable in the game. I feel like Deathblow is a very fun build, but not a whole lot of people have been playing it compared to builds like Hodo or Whirlwind or all these other Barbarian meta builds, and the changes that they've implemented have hurt Deathblow just as much, if not more, than the other meta builds that are in place. So yeah, as of now, it's safe to say I'm a little disappointed, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see how things pan out once the season starts. Maybe some of this new stuff in the game is going to turn things around and make this a lot more viable. Feel free to let me know what you guys think. Are you still planning on running Deathblow as your first build in Diablo 4 Season 1? Or does this kind of dissuade you and you're thinking of maybe even just ditching the season completely or moving over to some other builder class? Let me know.